Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria Q. Kane.
Hi everyone, welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about a political commentator who fainted on live TV, the latest TikTok trends that are causing injuries and deaths, a man doing the unthinkable because he is insecure about his penis size, a lover's quarrel in an infectious disease lab, getting denied a passport because of drastic changes in your appearance, and of course we have to talk about the botched firing squad. All that and more on today's episode. First, I want to say I apologize for not having video this week because I just had surgery yesterday and I look like Quasimodo. So we're going to take a break from video for this week and I'll tell you guys more about that a little bit later on. But let's get started with this political commentator who fainted on the air.
All right, so last week, political commentator Cameron Kinsey, she was doing a segment on Fox News at night, and halfway through a sentence, she appeared to lose her train of thought and then passed out.
All right, so this is vasovagal syncope. It's just fainting. It's normal. It happens all the time. It actually didn't happen to like a congresswoman or something of this week too.
Yeah, I was going to say how nuts is this because a senator also passed out while doing a live press conference last week.
All right, so it happens. It could definitely happen when you have like an emotional trigger. And just as a person that's been going on stage in front of a lot of people, I think being on a national broadcast on TV would really make me freak out. So this is standing on stage in front of a bunch of people, like those types of things could cause it to happen. And what happens is your heart rate and blood pressure drop suddenly and it reduces the oxygenated blood that's going to your brain and then you temporarily lose consciousness. I mean, you've heard of this happening all the time. The real reason that I wanted to bring up this story was because the video went viral, and if you watch it, the guy, his name is Jonathan Hunt. He's the host of the show. He's sitting there and watches this chick like pass out and fall to the floor, and he doesn't even get up to help her. It's so freaking weird.
No, he like watches her fall out of the chair onto the ground and just goes, "Oh goodness, we're gonna get her some help. Why don't you get out of your chair and help her?"
Yeah, like he's just like hardcore. Like the show must go on, like no matter what. And really, if you faint, it's not harmful at all. But like the thing that could cause harm is if you fall out of a chair and, hit your head on a table or on the floor or something like that. Like he literally watched it go down, and it just was so weird that he was just trying to keep his cool for the broadcast. It was just the weirdest human reaction ever if you guys didn't see the video. So make sure you check that out because I just don't understand what's going on there.
Even if a producer was in his earpiece and was like, "Do not get up, just end it."
Yeah, like you're just like this. You're a human being. Like this woman just fell in front of you, and you don't know what's wrong with her. And he's not a medical person. He doesn't just think like, oh, she just whatever. Like it's just a very weird reaction.
It was also weird because it was very like Sleeping Beauty like she was just like talking, and then her makeup is perfect, and she just so slowly goes down, and I was like, this is the wildest looking thing ever. I feel horrible for her. I mean, because the clip went so viral of her passing out. I do find it funny he's getting a lot of criticism because any human that just saw somebody fall, I mean, you've already established you laugh at people that fall.
Well, because it's funny, but not when people are. It's funny when people trip and fall, not when they're like passing out and having a medical issue.
No,
I don't know. Like I watched the video, this is how it goes now. You watch these viral videos online and then you like immediately go to the comments to be like, okay, I need justification that I'm thinking the same thing everyone else is thinking. And sure enough, all these people were just like nobody cares that the girl passed out. It's like, whatever. Everybody cared about the guy's reaction to it. So,
I mean, it is just so absolutely ridiculous.
All right, so let's talk about this. There's this woman that has a podcast that's called Nip Tuck. I assume she talks about plastic surgery because the story is about her having lots of plastic surgery.
Yeah, this chick, Ashley Stobart, she's an influencer and the co-host of this Nip Tuck podcast you're talking about. It's actually called like Nip Tuck, what the ...
Oh, that's kind of clever.
Yeah, so she had a lot of controversy because she decided to get a facelift at 34, but she said it was due to sagging skin she had as a result of filler dissolver. But she said she had so much work done that her passport ended up getting denied on a recent trip.
Well, like, I don't know if you remember this one video or that was going around a couple years ago of Kylie Jenner's face looking like very old, and there was a lot of people that do injections that were saying that that's a possibility. I mean, like, I could see that would happen because it's kind of it might essentially be the same as weight loss. Like if you're heavy and then you lose weight, but you have that skin that's stretched out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because people are getting so much. Like, it's not just like a little bit. There's some people that just have so much in their face. It makes, I don't know. I don't think it looks attractive at all. I don't really understand it, but people could do whatever they want to do, whatever. And like, if she wants to get a facelift and do all this stuff, she could do it. I mean, people do that all the time. But I guess the crazy thing is that, like, for example, right now, I told you guys I look like Quasimodo, right? Like, I can't even open my phone right now because it's like, who the hell is this person? Because my face is deformed, right? But like, I guess that happens with the facial recognition technology too at the airport when they're checking passports and stuff to be like, yeah, this isn't the same person because you're changing your face structure when you get surgery like that, and it's just something that I don't know. I guess I never really thought about, but apparently other people are having this issue too.
Yeah, I do find it interesting with a passport though, because like they last for 10 years even when you're like a little kid. So I'm just like, how do you get a passport when you're like the girl's age, right? Think about
Dude, listen to
Luber
this.
getting one.
So this is interesting though. Like, how there's for those people of you that have iPhones, there's this thing inside of the photos where you have pictures of people you commonly take pictures of. So in my first couple, it's like me, Gabe, the girls, you, Ricky, Mom, Louie, like just people that are in all the pictures. And you could click on a picture of Lucia's face, right? And then it'll pull up all of the pictures of Lucia in my phone. She's 10 years old right now, and when I hit that, it pulls up her picture from me and Gabe having her in the hospital.
Wow.
Like it recognize whatever it's reading, it recognizes the difference. So I could see why they don't make you get it changed, because if it's able, I just think that that's really trippy, don't you? I was just in there recently and I'm like, I can't believe this thing recognizes that this is the same person.
Well, I hate the face recognition software because I first was really bothered by it. Like for the iPhone, it's awesome, obviously, but I was first really bothered by it when we were in Disney a couple years ago, and then all of a sudden on the app, pictures of us on certain rides were populating, and I'm like, how the fuck does this know it's me?
Yeah, I don't like that either. So, so that's it. It's really cool because the woman said, I guess in the article, that there were people that work in this situation for either border patrol or at customs, and they said that the facial recognition is not the be all end all. If that doesn't recognize you, then a real person will come out and start kind of interviewing you. Sometimes they ask you for credit cards, and this one woman had said that a guy came in and was staring at her face, and it was super awkward, like staring in her eyes to see if it was actually her on the passport, which I could imagine would be really uncomfortable. But I guess that if you have a lot of surgery or a lot of filler in your face or something, that's something you need to consider if you're traveling.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't even think about it. And then one of the co-hosts said she also knew a person who was trying to go to Turkey, and that person also got so much work done that they wouldn't let them in the country because they couldn't get approved with the passport.
It's interesting though, because sometimes, like even yesterday when I went to the surgeon, like they said, okay, we need your ID and your insurance and all that stuff. And I'm like sitting there with no makeup on and glasses, and the picture of my driver's license is no glasses, and I'm wearing like a ton of makeup. And it was actually when I was pregnant with Lillian, so it's 12 years old. And I was like significantly heavier because I was ready to give birth to her. I think I was like 200 and some pounds, so my face is bigger. And it's like, I don't even look anything like that either. It's kind of a stretch to be like, oh, this is the same person, So there has to be more than just a facial ID for things like that.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's funny, though, because this girl on the podcast was saying she was even trying to pull up photos from during the surgery to show it was really her. But
God, that's so embarrassing.
I know.
All right, so let's talk about these TikTok trends that have come up this week. Again, all of these TikTok trends are in general like going to cause a person to get seriously injured or killed. I feel like that's what we could pretty much say from right now. I guess there's good ones that go around like this. My kids are trying to tell me about this new ice bucket challenge thing, and I was like, that's not new.
Yeah, that's been around forever.
Yeah, but I guess it's not about ALS anymore. It's about bringing awareness to mental health. And I'm just like, couldn't you have thought of something else? Because like you're taking away the ALS challenge. I don't know. I don't understand like what the change was, but whatever. And my kids aren't even on TikTok, but whatever. They see YouTube, they go to school, whatever. I mean, like everybody does these trends. So the first one is like, I don't know what idiot came up with this and how this stuff goes viral, but it's like, oh, let's stick random items into the USB port of our computers, our school issued Chromebook computers, and see if we can cause an electrical short circuit and a potential fire. Like, this sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, like not only are you destroying school property, but you're basically causing a harm to everybody around you. Not to mention, don't those things have the lithium ion batteries in them that are extremely dangerous when they're on fire? Like,
Yeah.
they'll blow up?
Yeah, they're extremely dangerous. And of course, there's been several fire departments that have actually put out warnings because they've had to go to schools to put out fires that are caused by this. And this is like kids sticking like paper clips or anything in there that shouldn't be in there because they could puncture the battery. So I just don't understand like how kids' minds work. But the other one going around is this other TikTok trend that's called Ding Dong Ditch prank.
I mean, that is also not new. That Ding Dong
It
Ditch
literally
has been around
isn't.
forever.
Yeah, like, so it's, you just go up to somebody's house and you ring the doorbell and run away. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but the problem is that they're videoing it, so they're taking way longer than like the classic 80s, prank where you're just truly going up to someone's house, ringing the doorbell and running away. They're taking all this extra time to record the videos, and they're doing it like, I feel like when I was younger, people would do it at like 8 o'clock at night, not 3 in the morning, like in this case.
Yeah, so what happened? This 27-year-old guy thinks his house is getting broken into.
Well, he told police he thought his house was getting broken into, but I'm going to say based on the charges, they might have found something different.
Well, this is the thing though, like, I'm thinking right now, if you live in a place where you're allowed to have a gun to protect your home, and now these kids were doing this at 3 o'clock in the morning, is like ringing my doorbell and there's a ruckus outside, I'm going to be scared that somebody's trying to break into my house. That's right. So I guess the guy thinks someone's breaking into his house and shoots at the kids, and one of the kids gets killed. He's dead. Like a kid is dead because of this. And now this guy, and I don't know what happened. Like at first he didn't get in trouble, but then he got arrested and charged with 2nd-degree murder, malicious wounding, and 2 other counts of use of a firearm. So like Maria was saying, I'm sure there's more to the story, but I'm just saying, for this guy, like he definitely shouldn't have shot and killed somebody, but at the same time, he was probably asleep and at 3 a.m. woken up and scared, and like now his whole life has changed too. He obviously didn't make the right decision, but like he was just sitting there all innocently, and these people just showed up at his house and started trouble.
Well, I mean, you're also, I guess, varying state to state. I don't think you're just allowed to shoot somebody that's breaking in, depending where you live. This happened in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. That sounds like a totally fake place, but that's where
I always see that when we're taking road trips. I always see all of these weird burgs and vanias and stuff like that.
I mean, I just was talking to you the other day about how, like these solicitors come up to your door, and I can't believe more of those people don't end up getting shot, because it's not the 1950s. People get very scared when you come up on their property without announcing yourself first, and sometimes they're coming at night when it's dark. So I'm like, it always scares the shit out of me. It will be like 9 o'clock in the morning. Someone will knock on my door and I'm like, I don't like this, you know? So I can't believe there's not more problems with people like this. And then you have these teenagers just not thinking things through. It's in the middle of the night. They're scaring the shit out of people who are sleeping. I obviously, like, I don't think they obviously, like, deserved what happened to them because it's so horrible and you were just doing an innocent little kid thing, but they're just not thinking about it. And then you have this guy who's just panicking because he doesn't know what's going on, according to what he told police. So
What I don't understand, if you have kids that are in high school, I just don't understand at any time why they should be out at 3 o'clock in the morning, even if it's on the weekend. Like, no good is coming from that. That's when all crimes happen, is at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I mean, I understand kids sneak out. Trust me. Like, my husband tells me when he was younger, like, his mom would go to bed and he would leave for the whole night. And I'm like, oh my God, if my kids ever did that. But I never did that. But maybe boys are more likely to do that. I don't know if girls do it either all the time. So, like, you can't sit there and totally talk shit on the parents because if the kids snuck out, like, what are you going to do? But I also just think, like, why are they out at 3 in the morning? You know what I mean? It's just no good's going to come from that.
I mean, this isn't really relevant to this particular case because the ding dong ditch has been around forever, but to the last one where these kids are starting fires, I'm just trying to think of, like, when these trends became so dangerous, and they all seem attached to TikTok because when I was younger, I mean, social media was around just as much as it is today, and we had viral
No, I
pranks.
wouldn't say that though.
I
It
mean,
really
it was
wasn't.
around in some capacity. Like, we had YouTube at the very least, and Twitter and Facebook were just starting to get big when I was in high school. So I'm just thinking about that. And there was definitely, like, viral videos and trends people were doing, but it was like you would go to McDonald's and grab the ice cream cone upside down. You weren't setting your school computer on fire.
No, but when you were younger, there was like that Tide Pod challenge, like dumb bullshit. I remember having to tell you, like, these conversations you have to have with your kids are ridiculous. Like, I just have to sit down and be like, you guys know that you should never stick like a paper clip or something metal into the USB port of your Chromebook. I think kids are probably doing it because they think like they could get out of class for the day or something. I'm not sure what the motive is, but you could get in a lot of trouble, especially for starting a fire, vandalism and everything like that. Plus, we had to sign like all these contracts and shit when the kids used the Chromebooks, you know, that we're not going to damage them and this and that. So,
well, the school said they could face criminal charges of vandalism and arson in addition to possibly getting suspended or expelled. So there's serious consequences for it. I don't know. Like, I just watched this really good documentary about Twitter. I think it's called Breaking the Bird, and I think it's really interesting on, like, the cultural impact of social media and how when they made that platform, they really didn't think anything bad would come out of it. And of course, you always have bad faith actors.
This is what's wrong with every single one of these technologies. And that's what's actually alarming, because these people are so brilliant that they're able to code and just do these amazing things, but they're not smart enough to think about any of the bad stuff that people will do with it. And it's starting to get on my nerves, honestly. And we have a story coming up, either today's episode or tomorrow's episode, about some crazy technology that they're doing too. And you're just kind of like, okay, how, like, number one, why do we need to do this? And number two, like, how, I mean, social media has definitely changed the world and it's made things a lot better in some ways, but at the same time, if we never had it, we would have never known and it would have been fine. And I feel like, honestly, like, at this point, I think it's doing more harm than good. So,
well, yeah, you notice
it's not only just that stuff, it's just like causing a lot of division and just like rehashing issues that were semi-resolved at some point, and it's getting really gross, honestly.
Well, you also notice, like, Meta is always like, we're trying to implement positive mental health changes. Okay, well, why all of a sudden on notifications does it tell me how many followers somebody that commented on my post has? And now people have to worry about that. Like, you're making it worse.
Oh yeah, it is. And like, we haven't, like, Maria and I haven't really told you about all the problems that we have on social media. Like, we have really never told you the extent of it. And
I mean,
like
we bitch about it a lot, so I feel like
we bitch about it a lot, but we don't talk about like how we're on the phone. Like I was on the phone for hours with them about the posts and this and that, and just like they want to make Instagram a safe place, and my videos are too graphic. But that they're trying to tell me that, but then the people who have voluntarily subscribed to my page can't see my stuff, and there's no shortage of like serious porn on there, which is completely accessible to children. I mean, and then they're concerned about children, and then I'm just like, children shouldn't even have access to all this stuff. It's just so crazy. So it's just like so gross. I don't even know what to say at this point about it. But let's just go on to another story, because I'm just gonna get aggro and start like whatever. Like it is what it is, and this is like, you have to live in this world now where this is why I don't want my kids to have that. But unfortunately, like other people that my kids are friends with, they have it, so it's like they're always going to be exposed. You can't hide them from it, and all you have to do is just like read the news often, listen to our show, of course, and we will update you on the craziest things that are going on, so you could just sit there and talk to your kids about it. I honestly, just because there's just so much more of a chance with accidents in boys and men than there are with girls and women, this is like, I feel like both of these things are probably mostly not even applicable to girls. I feel like this is commonly a thing that's going to happen with boys, with the like, I just don't see girls being interested in like setting their computer on fire or like running up to someone's door. And
well, there will always be a few, but just probably statistics wise, not
there will
as high.
Statistically though, the accidental injuries and deaths happen way more frequently with men than women. So but yeah, so let's go on to a more juicier subject, which is a guy that was insecure about his penis, so started doing something very unusual.
Yeah, in Scotland, this anesthesiologist, he's been sentenced to jail time after admitting to hiding cameras in his work bathroom to compare his penis size to his coworkers.
Like, so I guess after this, he gets arrested and all this stuff, and then he says that he was diagnosed with body dysmorphia because apparently...
No, first he said he was diagnosed with gigantism, and
he was diagnosed with suspected gigantism, which caused the body dysmorphia when he was a teenager, and that was the reasoning that he possibly had a small penis or something. So, like, let's back up. I don't know if you ever get diagnosed with suspected gigantism. It is or it isn't, and it's a growth hormone issue when you're a kid. So you've seen people like Andre the Giant and things like that people that have this. So if it happens before your growth plates in your bones fuse when you're a child, that's gigantism. Whereas if it happens as an adult or after they fuse, that's acromegaly. So I'm not sure exactly which condition he had, if he's saying that he was semi-diagnosed or suspected diagnosed as a teenager, but the growth hormone could cause an abnormal growth, especially in height. So this is when you see these people that are like, can be up to 8 feet tall. It also causes their heart to get larger and other organs to get larger. So in theory, like, their penis could also be larger too, but that doesn't always happen. So if his penis was like a normal size, but he was 7 or 8 foot tall, that might look disproportionate and might make him think that his penis looks smaller. I don't know, but regardless if you have this or not, because there's plenty of dudes that have this condition, like, that doesn't give you the right to start filming your friends and your coworkers to see if your penis is the same size as theirs.
No, of course not. So he ended up hiding recording devices and air fresheners and a smoke alarm in the bathroom of his spare bedroom and his house, in addition to the bathrooms at his work. He claimed he recorded 30 different people and used the footage to compare himself to other men. And he committed the acts between November 2020 and August 2023. He was only caught when one victim became suspicious of 2 air fresheners which appeared to be facing the toilet and shower, and then opened them up and found the devices.
Yeah, and also, like, why was he was filming some women too?
Yeah, like,
so like your whole entire argument is just like thrown out the window. You're just like a creepy perv, dude. That's all you are. So He's in trouble though, right?
Well, he was suspended from his work as a doctor. I'm sorry, you need to like have everything removed. Who is going to trust an anesthesiologist after some creepy behavior like this? He was sentenced to 18 months, probation for 9 months after the release, and then he's only going to be a registered sex offender for 10 years. Why is there a limit?
Yeah, I don't know whether there is a limit. I was just going to say that. Like, I feel like that could be the biggest deterrent yet, that you will be forever labeled as a sex offender for the rest of your life if you do something. But, you know, that all the people that protect criminals will be against that. We actually have, we could talk about that later with another story we have.
I mean, so he's 34 years old, so he really, like, when do you think he finished school? So he hasn't really been a doctor all that long. So you just went through all that education?
What country is this in? Did it say?
Scotland.
Yeah, I don't know what they're, because they might not have the same system, because I know that there's some countries that, like, I believe, and I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but when I was working with a lot of residents and stuff, some would like come from China and they would become a resident in our residency program. But I thought that they told me that they went right to medical school right after high school. So they skipped that whole like 4-year college degree in between high school and medical school that you would typically do in America. So, which would mean that those people would be eligible to become doctors 4 years earlier than Americans would. So I don't know, but yes, like you're saying, like if he did the traditional graduate high school, go to 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, and then do a residency in anesthesia and everything like that, then yes, he would be like a very young, new attending physician at that point. So, I mean, regardless, it doesn't matter. Like, and that's actually even creepier because a person that is willing to record people like that, it's scary that they have the knowledge to put a person to sleep and possibly do things to them when they're asleep, and access to those medications too. So
yeah, how could you have any trust in somebody like that?
That should be, and like I said, that's in Scotland. Like, I think if that happened in America, that he would lose his medical license forever, and that would be the end of the story. Especially it was being done at the workplace and all this stuff. But I don't really know how things go down, but he should for sure.
This episode's brought to you by The Gross Room.
So this week we are doing a high-profile death dissection continuation on the Lori Value Chad Daybell murders. And in this particular one, so this is part 2 of our part 3 of our 3-part series. And in this one, we go into depth of the autopsies of at least the 4 main victims of Lori and Chad. We also, so I think that one, I mean, I personally think that one's my favorite part because they talk about the autopsies and that's what I have the most interest in. And there is some between the death investigation and some of them, and just the way they killed the children and these despicable human beings. It's just really interesting to go through all of the facts of that case. We also have a really crazy video that's exclusive to the Gross Room from one of our members called Long Lost Relative, and of course more, so check that out.
Yeah, head over to thegrossroom.com to sign up. So the Department of Health and Human Services, which I'll refer to as HHS going forward, has put a pause on research at a major high-risk infectious disease lab due to multiple safety violations. And the best part of this is the investigation stemmed from a lover's spat between 2 of the researchers. Yeah,
so let's first talk about labs, okay? Because I've worked in a lab since I've been 19 years old, and there's basically 4 different kinds. They're called biosafety levels for labs. So you have type 1, which is like that's doing infections, working with infections that really don't cause disease in healthy adults. It might be just like opportunistic ones or ones that just don't really get most people sick anyway. And then you have level 2, which can cause if accidentally inhaled or swallow. Level 3, which is even more severe cases like airborne things like TB. So I would say like the hospital microbiology lab, for example, would be a biosafety level 2, and the 3 would be was a special room that we used for doing specimens that had potential TB. So that's a level 3. And then you have the level 4, which is what we're talking about now with this case, which is diseases that don't have any known vaccines or therapies available. So even though COVID has a vaccine, we all know that that doesn't like really work to prevent it. So that's not considered to be a like a legitimate treatment for, as far as what went down. That there are things that could treat people, but for the most part, it still can be deadly for certain type of patients. But also disease that are really serious, like Ebola, Marburg, Lassa fever, all these different things. So these labs are sometimes they're in specific rooms that are dedicated. Actually, they sometimes have isolated zones in specific buildings that are just made for that. So you see a lot of it if you've ever seen like the movie Outbreak or something. You see people going in with these special suits on, and they have to wear special kinds of suits dedicated for this. They have to shower as soon as they exit the lab. They have to go through a series of procedures. They have to be trained in a certain way to deal with these organisms, just because if they get released, like, it's a problem. And now that we're talking about that, like, especially it's been in the news that it's more than likely COVID came from a situation like this, that it was released from some kind of a lab. People are now like really taking this seriously because you see what happened when COVID happened here, right? So we don't want things like that ever being exposed, especially when there's no treatments for these things, right? So apparently, like Maria was saying, that there was this lovers' quarrel, and what happened was one of the individuals poked holes in one of these protective suits that the other person was putting on to work with one of these deadly bacteria or viruses. And it's just so crazy to think that this is happening in a situation like this, that like this person got fired, right? Fine. They should be arrested for attempted murder, and even more, because they could have potentially harmed other people if the person that they were having this lovers quarrel with actually got infected with one of these things.
Well, again, like, how hard do you work to get into a facility like this, and then you're going to sabotage your entire career and possibly have criminal charges because you had a lover spat? It's ridiculous. And it's not the only incident they've had. They had one another situation as recently as November. So there's multiple safety violations.
It's psycho, dude. Like, if you're going to be poking holes, and like, let's say somebody is working with Ebola and you're going to go poke holes in their outfit. The only reason you're doing that is because you want them to catch it. Yeah. And like those types of things being released, especially like into the United States, where we don't even have that, and how easily it could spread. It's just, and how deadly it is. It's just like you were thinking about this ahead of time, and you were trying to kill this person. And it's really gross that happens. But this is the thing, like you were saying, yes, these people are sometimes highly educated, sometimes even PhD level microbiologists, epidemiologists, and things like that. But everybody is just still a human, and you could say the number one cause of murder, or the reason, the motive for people murdering people, is over love, right? It's a known thing from the beginning of time, and it doesn't matter how educated you are. I mean, like, look, the guy we just talked about was a doctor, and he was still committing crimes. Like, you're still a human, and you have flaws like that, and unfortunately, this could affect all of us, which is super scary.
Well, I just think of these two nerds in this lovers quarrel, right?
And they're like, total nerds.
Instead of like shooting you or stabbing you or poisoning you, something obvious, she's like, I'm going to poke tiny holes in your protective gear because this person is smart enough to know the effect that's going to have. But they're like, the individual has since been fired. Okay, what about some criminal charges? Because this could have been a severe harm to society, and maybe this person shouldn't really be like walking around with access to all these diseases. It's very concerning. So the HHS has put them on pause. All research at the facility will come to a halt, and access will be limited to essential personnel. The director has also been put on leave, and it's unclear how long the pause will remain in effect. It's just so concerning that this is going down at a place like this.
I know, but I mean, like I said, they're humans, and that's, I mean, it's total like nerd party. Yeah. Right, probably, but whatever. Like they're the ones you got to watch out for, because they're smart, and they're not going to do something as simple as that. And who knows what you'll ever find out about COVID and stuff like that, like what actually went down with that and how that got released. But like the bottom line is that that could happen, and it's freaking, we don't want that to happen ever again.
No, definitely not. Especially like you're saying with one of these more severe illnesses. Like I can't even freaking imagine if something like that happened.
Well, that's the thing too, because COVID, I've been saying this from the beginning. Like COVID was the perfect one because it disabled our country enough to cause to wreak havoc, but not enough to kill a lot of people. And it did kill a lot of people, but it really didn't. When you think about the capability of other kinds of viruses and especially viral infections, it didn't come anywhere close to being lethal like some other things are. So you have to, there's always this fear that you like bioterrorism and stuff like that. And I personally think, and I've thought this since the beginning, that I think that COVID was an act of bioterrorism, but we don't need to get into that right now. But for sure, like, you think COVID was bad, there's a potential for other viruses to kill everyone, not just like certain populations or demographics of people, like, but everyone, children, adults, a higher death rate. And it could be really, really bad. So, and them working on these things, they have to be like the top tier people in the world that don't let like petty lovers quarrels get in their way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely unreal. So when Lauren was on last time, we had talked about this firing squad death in South Carolina, and now another one has occurred, but they're saying this guy was shot 2 times, and his autopsy results are indicating that he didn't die right away, suffering about 30 to 60 seconds after his death.
So this firing squad consisted of 3 shooters, but they only found 2 bullet holes in the person that got shot, which is kind of alarming because they're like, all right, well, where was the third one? So some people are trying to say, oh, well, maybe 2 people shot at the same time and it went through one hole, which is like, no, that absolutely did not happen.
I thought not all of them fired sometimes, so nobody, or they fired, but one was a blank, so nobody really knew who was the killer.
Well, but the thing is that I don't think that was the case here. I think they said that there was ammunition in all 3 weapons. So
okay.
someone didn't shoot, which is possible because I guess you could imagine that. I don't know how they pick like who is going to how do they pick who is going to be the people that shoot, and how they pick the people in general, like what are their qualifications? I have no idea about any of that stuff. But maybe someone like chickened out last minute and just decided that they weren't going to be the one that killed this guy. Like they had this last minute change of heart and thought, I don't want to do this. But I actually just cannot believe that you have a firing squad to kill someone to execute someone that has committed a crime, that you're not picking like a perfect sharpshooter. There are people in this world that are excellent at getting targets. They're saying that they did the autopsy on this person and the heart was missed. Like it was largely missed. They said that there was damage to the liver and other internal organs. And I guess we would say like this is, if you want to talk about, because like first there's all this like, should we do this or not? And then, oh, we should do it humanely or not.
If you want to take this specific example, though, I don't know why we're so concerned about this guy suffering for 30 to 60 seconds. He murdered 3 people, including a police officer. Like, did he care about them suffering when he killed those 3 people?
No. I mean, and the interesting thing is in this specific article that we cite, the whole thing is about like compassion for this guy who like suffered getting executed, when they didn't say one thing about what he actually was getting executed for. So let's talk about that a little bit. He murdered a man following a drug deal gone wrong. Okay, fine. And then he robbed and killed a 29-year-old convenience store clerk who had nothing to do with anything. So this guy just died because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then 2 days later, he carjacked a man and stole his car and fled. So that's also scary for that guy. And then he murdered a 56-year-old off-duty police officer whose body then he doused in diesel fuel and then burned.
Yeah, like we're not talking about somebody that did like like a minor crime. This is
No.
a murderer.
Yeah,
So-
and he had a whole other string of lifelong crime, whatever. But regardless, if we decided in this country that we're supposed to induce the least pain on these people, then that's the decision, and we need to respect that, right? So why on earth? And obviously we've talked about this before on this show about lethal injection and like the autopsy. So there's always an autopsy done on someone whenever they are killed by the state. There will always be an autopsy done to document everything and to see what happened. And when you talk about lethal injection from pentobarbital, these autopsies have shown that these people have pulmonary edema, which is fluid that is accumulating in the lungs, which shows that there's this sense of sensation similar to drowning that they experience for up to 10 minutes before they actually die. So there's suffering there. So then they thought, okay, well, let's do firing squad, because if we shoot someone straight in the heart, then like they'll die instantly, right? No, they got people that miss the heart. So I mean, right there, you're just kind of like, how is this such a shit show? Like, all of the sharpshooters in the world, you cannot find somebody that could just shoot this guy in the heart, right? And so what happened was he gets shot in the liver and other organs, and he's alive for 30 to 60 seconds, because what happens is, like, let's say you shoot somebody in the liver, right? And you lacerate one of their major arteries. Like, yeah, they're going to start bleeding internally. And that's if you hit a major artery, honestly, but they're going to start bleeding internally, but like their heart's still going to be beating perfectly fine. They're just going to have less blood coming through. They're going to be completely conscious, aware, and in pain the entire time. So, and like this looks really bad, because this is not an instantaneous death like they thought it was going to be. And observers there said that he was squirming and he was moaning and complaining, and it's just kind of like, listen, like if we've made the decision that this is what we're going to do, then like I don't understand why it's such a shit show.
Yeah, I think somebody didn't do their job. I'm also surprised they only shoot one time. Like, there's only 2 bullets that went in him. I just don't think that seems effective. I don't know. Something clearly went wrong.
It's just like, you think about hunters can get like a deer that's running. Like, you have a guy that's sitting in front of you with a clear eye, and he's not a moving target. Like, it just, I really just can't believe it. So that makes me wonder. I really want to know, like, what are the qualifications of these people that are doing this? Is this just like some guard that works there, or are they? I feel like they would get people that are clear sharpshooters. Now, this guy's lawyer is saying that he was there when his client got executed, and he thought that the target on his chest was a little bit too low, which is interesting. Like, I just really don't even understand any of this, honestly. So it is messed up, because like if our country has said we're not doing this, then like you can't do that. It's just more messed up because it's a shit show. But honestly, like, you could say, in our opinion, like, let's say for example a guy like raped and killed a kid. Like, most people would agree, like, well, we don't care if somebody else rapes and kills that guy. He should suffer just like his victim suffered and stuff. But like that's not what we do here, which is probably a good thing.
But who's being sentenced to death that isn't a murderer? Like, you know what I mean?
People have been sentenced to death that aren't murderers, though. That's the thing.
I'm talking about today.
I'm saying people in the past have been accused of crimes that they didn't commit, and have been. This is why it's so controversial, because, like, unless you're 100% sure, which I'm assuming that is becoming the case more and more today, that people are figuring that out. But even so, unless I don't know, unless you have video of it or evidence of it, you can't. That's why it's so controversial, because people think like, I mean, there's been people that have been executed that have been innocent, and that's why people are against it. But like, if we know for certain that this guy did all this stuff, then yeah, I mean, you killed a person and then put fuel on his body and burned his body. Like, imagine how his family feels.
Well, yeah, and I said this like last week about that woman who tied her kid to the bed and was feeding her cat food and letting her pee all over the bed. And, you know, think about Ruby Frankie, who's rubbing cayenne pepper in her kid's wounds after she beat him. Like, to me, people like that deserve worse punishment. Like, not even eye for an eye. They should be, like, set on fire. Seriously, like, the worst thing ever. Because who fucking does that? Children,
I
like,
know.
are so innocent.
I really go back and forth because I go back and forth because it's like when when I'm teaching the girls, let's say for example, like if someone hits you or someone does this, like the proper response wouldn't be to tell them to hit the kid back because it just doesn't do anything. If somebody's mean to you, like it doesn't solve anything. Like it might temporarily make you feel better. Sometimes it's necessary though, because like let's say a kid's bullying you and hitting you all the time and stuff, like the only way to really get them to stop is to punch them in the face, right? Like whatever. It's just like it. I don't think that it's like very clear cut, and you could go back and forth. We had that interview with Matt Mangino talking all about execution. You guys should listen to it if you want. God, it's from like over a year ago at this point now, right? Or almost a year ago.
It was last August.
Yeah, so last August. But he wrote a book about executions, and he's like really versed in it, and just how he thinks that like really his opinion after knowing all this stuff is just like the death penalty is probably terrible. Like it costs a lot of money because of all the appeals and this and that, and but like I said, like if our country has decided that we're not going to like torture people when we are going to kill them, then like clearly there's shit in the bed between the, you know what I mean, between the pentobarbital and now the botched firing squad. Like I don't understand why this is so difficult. I just don't understand.
Well, everything anymore is difficult. I
Right.
mean, we talk about this every single day. All right, let's move on to questions of the day. Every Friday at the @MotherKnowsDeath Instagram account, you guys can head over to our story and ask us whatever you want. First, Nicole, you talk about one of your daughters having some physical challenges. I am grappling with the fact that my son may have physical delays differences due to birth trauma. How did you cope with the news? How are you and she doing? How is her life impacted?
Yeah, she has a condition called chronic non-infectious osteomyelitis, which happened when, how old is she now? 10?
Yeah.
Maybe when she was 7, she started saying that her knee hurt, and then like for a week, and then I was like, okay, this is weird because she's not a complaining kid like that. And I took her to the doctor, and he was like, all right, well, I don't see anything wrong, but let's just get an x-ray. And then it all just like went downhill from there. It just was like I was on the way home from her getting the x-ray, and they said, could she come back and get the other leg done? And then I already knew something was wrong. And I guess the scariest part is that it took a very long time to get a diagnosis and to start getting treatment for it because it was right at the edge of the pandemic and things like that. Or during the pandemic, I should say. So that was the scariest time because I was getting sent doctor to doctor with her, and I didn't, the location of the knee is very suspicious for cancer sometimes in kids, and just like the whole thing, like I was so scared that she had something really terrible wrong. And what she has is pretty terrible and debilitating, but also at the same time it's not cancer, and it's not a death sentence and things like that. So we've been going through like lots of ups and downs with it. The first medicine she went on was Humira, and that is a biologic injection I had to give her, and it was great. Like we went and got the scans done, and it looked like her bone wasn't showing any signs of that anymore. And then all of a sudden she started getting this crazy psoriasis all over her body from the drug. And then one of them got infected so bad, she got this crazy fungal infection that wouldn't go away and couldn't be healed. And she had to get a biopsy, and she possibly needed surgery. Like it was just so crazy. And now it finally went away, but she has like a huge scar on her leg that's going to be there forever, like absolutely huge. It looks like she got burned. It's that bad. So just dealing with that, and then she got diagnosed with scoliosis recently, and then she has to wear this back brace every day, which is uncomfortable. It's a huge plastic uncomfortable thing, and I feel terrible. Medications we had to give her the last round was another drug that made her like kind of depressed, which we didn't realize it, and just injections, and it's just been a lot. But she's healthy and she's alive and she goes to school every day and she has friends and she gets to play, and so it's like, but like she even said to me last night, like, Mommy, it's getting so hot out. How much longer do I have to wear this brace? And I just want to tell her, like, years. I feel terrible. Like, I can't even break it to her and be like, you have to wear this for years of your life. Because it's just uncomfortable. Like, imagine having a piece of plastic wrapped around your body for, she has to wear it at least 18 hours a day. That means every night when she sleeps, and it's just a lot. So, the thing is, for you, it's probably worse for you as a parent than it is for the kid, honestly. Like, kids are like super resilient, and you just sit there and you just feel terrible for your kid. So that's all I could say to you is just like, try to take the pain on yourself as much as your kid. Your kid will be fine. Your kid will get through it. Like, I was crying the night that Lucia, when we came home with this brace, because I was just thinking, like, God, I don't even want to like sleep with socks on. I hate being uncomfortable while I'm sleeping. And here this kid's got to wear this thing, and she couldn't even turn in bed. But I could post a picture for you guys, or I did. I posted it on my Instagram on my story last week that she went camping with her school, and she like got to the top of this rock climbing wall thing and rang the bell, and she was wearing her brace. So like, kids are just super resilient, and things seem like they suck and then they get used to it. And honestly, like, I feel like when she gets older, she's going to be like so resilient to like real issues in her life because of going through this as a kid. Like, she's going to be like, yeah, that's nothing. Like, she'll think nothing is a problem because of it. So try to look at it from the positive, and just like, you just like, there's nothing you could deal with it. You have to deal with it, and you have to help your kid deal with it. And just, it's always good to bribe them sometimes. Like, like, when she had to start getting shots, I would say, okay, like, I'll take you to Sephora and get whatever you want. Or she wanted like one of these giant squishmallow things, and just stuff like that. Like, from time to time. Or I'll go up to her recently and I was like, listen, you're doing really good with your brace. I'm so proud of you. Like, let me get you some Roblox money or something like that. Like, just little incentives to be like, listen, like, I like always let them know that they're doing a good job, and
Yeah, and of course we're sorry you're going through that, and obviously, like, you could speak from your experience how hard that is. I think Lucia is so strong watching her every day. I mean, she doesn't take any shit from anybody, and that's obvious. And she's just been so good about the entire thing,
Yeah, and it's and that's how I was kind of keyed off that her medication was causing her to have depression, because I was like, she hasn't typically seemed like this has been bothering her, and now all of a sudden, like, she's acting a little weird. And the medication that she was on was called methotrexate. It's not a drug that you would typically think had anything to do with depression, but sure enough, there's like lots of papers written on it that it does cause that reaction. So, that's another advice I have to you is like, your doctors are going to want to put the kid on all these medicines and stuff. And sometimes you don't really have a choice. Because with us, it was like, she has to take these medicines or her leg might stop growing. And then she's going to have to get surgeries because one of her legs is shorter than the other leg. And this and that, because it was right around her growth plate. And that's a tough decision to make as a parent. Like, okay, put my kid on this hardcore drug, or like her leg's going to stop growing. And there's all that other stuff that comes along with it. But, just like, if you see something that's abnormal, sometimes you have to push a little bit more, because your doctors only sees you like once every couple months at the appointment where you're with the kid every day. So like, if their body doesn't seem right or their mind doesn't seem right, you have to question it.
All right, 2. What plastic surgery have you had, and would you consider getting more? If so, what? Well, this question's for you, because I haven't even done Botox or anything. So.
Yeah, well, I had a tummy tuck done, and it was awesome. I recommend it. I like, well, the surgery that I had yesterday was definitely not plastic surgery, but I would get my neck done probably. Listen, like,
but what if it looks like Kim Kardashian's just looked at the Met Gala? Because
exactly.
That was bad.
And this is what scares the shit out of me, because when I look at, like, let me tell you my inspos. Anne Hathaway, Jesus, like, she looks so freaking good.
She's
Whatever she had,
incredible.
whatever she had done, and the same with your girl. What's the other one? Lindsay Lohan.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you could say to me like that surgeon is doing your face, I'd be like, I'll be there tomorrow. Just like
They're paying like probably
whatever,
500 grand
no,
for that.
I know they are, and that's never going to happen to me. But then, like, this video has been going around of Kim Kardashian at the Met Gala, and her neck looks terrible. And I think it's because, like, she probably had some of her face lifted, but maybe not her neck. Whatever it is, it looks like weird. And that scares me. So then that makes me think, okay, I probably just won't ever do anything because I'm too scared, unless I could definitely find, like, a perfect surgeon or something. Because when I look at Anne Hathaway, I'm just like, she just looks, like, I like her look because she doesn't have that gross, like, fake bulbous look, whatever they did to her. I think a lot of it's very popular right now to get this, like, eyelid surgery, and I think I see so many people with it that I think it looks so terrible, and I'm like, I'll deal with my sagging eyelids. I just don't want to have that look. I don't know if you know the look I'm talking about. It just looks like their eyes are open way too much, and they have people put, like, way too much filler or something on their cheeks, and they just have this very, like, deer in headlights kind of a look or something. I don't know. It's just like I don't want to look like I've had work done. So I'm open to it, but I don't have any plans for it, I would say.
All right, last. Maria, what does the Q stand for? Well, it's for my maiden name, Qualtieri, and my maiden name is not Angemi. So I think somebody last week was like, why don't you just keep Fan Gemmies because you're both Angemi. I was not an Angemi, so didn't make sense.
But it's my maiden name though. So she's it's my last name, my first last name.
Yeah, unconventional to not have my dad's name as my maiden name, but it was for your maiden name. So I really liked my last name, so I wanted to keep it in some capacity. And there's, very few Maria Qualtieris in the world, but there was many Maria Canes in the world. So it's like, what can I do to kind of, stand out? So I did that.
Yeah, and
my middle name.
Like, we had it is hard when you're getting married and changing your last name, because our last name was very cool and unique, a unique letter. So whenever we needed to get monogram stuff, it's like a Q is cool. And it is like a really unusual thing when you're going to change your last name. But then, like, Angemi was equally as cool to me, so I was okay with it. I don't know, if Gabe's last name was Kane, we might have had to have a conversation.
I mean, you guys always joke that Kane is plain, whatever you're saying is,
the kids say Kane is plain.
Listen, my last name's great because it's very neutral and everybody can pronounce it and spell it, whereas Qualtieri, people see the Q and they're just like, I don't even know where to go from here. It was nuts.
People pronounce my last name wrong all the time. It is crazy, but yeah, I know it is easy, because then if you're just sitting there, you could just be like, oh, it's Kane. Like, it's easy. You don't have to explain yourself or whatever. But yeah, so she kept the Q. I probably should have too, but whatever.
It is what it is. I mean, I liked that last name and I wanted to keep some part of it because, it's funny. I referred to my name change as like the rebrand, because I had to like switch everything, and now I wear like K initials and stuff. But it is funny because you're like this whole identity for, how old was I when I got married? Like 27. So 27 years, I'm like this whole identity, and then all of a sudden you have this like a different name for the rest of your life.
I'm not into like, so I was into like wearing, I used to have this remember that cool bracelet I had from Anthro Forever before it broke that had like a really cool Q in cursive on it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I won't do an A now because it's a boring letter, so I'm like over the monogram. It's kind of like whatever.
Well, maybe I'm just into it right now because it's like new for me, and Q is like interesting, but I like it. All right, well, thank you guys so much. Please head over to our Apple or Spotify and leave us a review, and if you have a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com or Instagram.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor, and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.